for this month. I'm super excited about our guest speaker, but as usual, for those of you who are new, Unlock Higher Education is a platform that comes together, a coalition actually, that comes together and brings memberships from the country, statewide, nationwide. I am happy to see that our West Coast was present last month. And so we're trying to get more of support and participation from different states, more so than outside of the East Coast, which we usually tend to have a lot of a presence in. But nevertheless, Unlock Higher Education is a nationwide coalition who brings together individuals who are doing the work and discussions of higher education within currently incarcerated individuals and also individuals that are coming home and in the reentry process, so that we can discuss the best practices, that we can discuss, the work that is being done, because there's a lot of good work being done out there. So we've created this space and place for people to come together and discuss those best practices so that we can hopefully learn from them, learn the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we can bring more good work to our own particular communities. And I see some new faces. Welcome. I see some friendly faces. Glad to see you again. And with that, we're going to do our breakout rooms. Our agenda has been posted in the chat. So if you know our little routine, we'd like to have breakout rooms early on so that people get to know each other and their work that they're doing from a more like personal perspective. So awesome. We're slowly getting everybody back. And for those of you who are just joining us after our breakout rooms, the agenda, it is posted on the chat, or maybe we need to post it again so you'll be able to have access to it. But welcome back. I hope you made some new friends in this process. And at this time, I'll take a few of you who'd like to discuss what you learned, who you met, and the great things that are ahead with this conversation. See who wants to go first? Come on, let's not be so shy.
Well, I'm going to nominate Noah. He's a new team member at JFF, and he's a policy expert. So I got to meet him in my group. And then I think the other lady, I think your name was Marcy. I'm sorry, I was on my phone, but I would love for them to introduce themselves because they're fairly new to this group. And so it'd be great for the team to know them.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm happy to say hello. I'm Noah Bine. I'm a few weeks into a new role as policy director on justice reform issues for JFF, Jobs for the Future. So working very closely with Brandy Mondato and Lucretia over at the center, everyone over there, but trying to kind of bring some heft to the policy implications of their work, which is obviously broader than just policy. So my background is actually from youth justice. I used to be a caseworker in the DC system and spent a lot of years doing state policy campaigns and lobbying around youth justice issues, and then more recently on justice issues more broadly, reentry, clearing barriers, clean slate, some prison and education bills. But so that's my orientation around state work, but I'm getting caught up on the federal side, and also very much trying to get caught up on all that you all do in your areas of expertise, workforce and higher education. So I'd love to read anything that you have and meet with you all and just learn on that front. So nice to be here.
Hi. Well, welcome.
Oh, sorry, Cece. Hi, I was the other person, Michelle Ronda. I'm from the Borough of Manhattan Community College at the City University of New York. And I'm the criminal justice program coordinator there for our social sciences. I'm an adjunct. I'm an associate professor, and I'm also newly the assistant academic director for the prison to college pipeline program, which is coming out of John Jay College. For the first time, CUNY this semester is offering through BMCC an associate's degree in liberal arts at Otisville Correctional Facility. So we're pretty excited about that. And I was telling Noah, I'm also really interested in learning more about California because they managed to fund the campus-based reentry programs through the state, and we're really, really interested to know how that was made possible and how we could perhaps mimic their success. Really happy to be here.
Wonderful, welcome. And with that, I also remind you guys that we have recordings on our YouTube channel. Thank you, Mickey, for creating that for us. Where you'll get to meet the past speakers and the conversations that we had and the information that they have brought. Like I said, last time we had the West Coast, we had underground scholars, we had 3 of the programs that they offer over there in West Coast as well. So you can learn a little bit more of what they do and the information on how to reach them. And with that, I will bring it to today's agenda and our group and our guest speaker. And I'd like to introduce Mancy Thompson. Mancy Thompson is the Prison to Professionals Program Director. I know Mancy now for several years. I'm excited to actually get to introduce him as my colleague. Mancy has been involved in many programs and many developments, and has really taken the P2P program into a different level. He's all over the place. He was for a minute here in South Florida. So, and I miss you. And I hope that you get to come back, but I know you're doing great work in many different states and many different spaces. So thank you for joining us today, Mancy. And with that, I'll leave the floor to you.
Thanks, Judith. Thanks, everyone. As Judith said, I am Mancy Thompson. I'm the Program and Operations Director for From Prison Cells to PhD. And we are a nonprofit here located in Baltimore that basically came into existence through our executive director and founder, Dr. Stanley Andrees, who's also justice impacted. And about 7 years ago now. And we've been in existence since that time. I joined the program in 2017, actually, in cohort 3, after returning to the East Coast from a lengthy prison stay in California. Like I said, I'm justice impacted. 23 and a half years in prison in California, 4 of those years on death row and everything. And when I got out, I'm also a veteran. So you can see the flag in the background. And one of the things I was trying to do is, one, get my life back on track, but at the same time, just find a new career path. And so when I came home, I had been working in the social work space, the human resource space, the public service space, if you would, doing various jobs, clinical case management, and different things that aligned with my skill set. And so when I finally relocated back to the East Coast, I found myself in need of employment and just wanting to further my education and get kind of known into the nonprofit sector here. And I ran into the program that Dr. Andrees was operating. At that time, we were at Johns Hopkins. We had a hybrid classroom, pretty much like we run now, 8 to 10 weeks. And it was basically half of the program was inside and half was run through virtual programming, which we conducted at Johns Hopkins in one of the auditoriums. He was at that time a professor at Johns Hopkins. And so I completed the program, stayed connected, kept with various jobs in line with my skill set. And then about 2020, he asked me, we relocated, like Judith said, back to this part of the East Coast, back up here from Florida. And I had pretty much took over as the program director and been in that role ever since. And so our program, while we have a hard emphasis on higher education and or industry recognized credentialing, The purpose for that is because we've recognized that so many of our scholars, we call our program participants scholars, once they come out of the system, even with the 9 to 5 and some skill sets, they are finding it very difficult to compete in an employment sector for any job. And then on top of that, to make a livable wage, that's very difficult. So we stress an industry recognized credential. We have such things as earn and learn, where we partner with industry partners, labor unions and such, to get them industry recognized credentials to hopefully elevate their career track, but also get them a higher paying salary. We, to be honest with you, don't pretty much highlight or go after most of the nonprofits that's in the reentry space. Don't go after anymore. Go after the minimum wage type jobs. Dr. Rhonda, I used to work for Strive International in East Harlem, and over at Rikers, you know, we work with Project Rebound out there in Cali, Underground Scholars in San Diego. Like I said, I've been doing this work from coast to coast, and most of the nonprofits, we just have collectively recognized that a livable wage is well above, for most cities and regions, well above the minimum wage. So we recognize that they will need some type of industry recognized credentials. So that's where we start. And while we know that everyone doesn't want to go into higher education or get their PhD or master's or an advanced degree, we typically push that as an option for them. One of the ways we do that is we connect them early on in the program with mentors and tutors to assist them on their career journey, basically as an accountability partner. So we do a kind of friendly assessment. We don't do clinical assessments or anything, and I'll open it up for Q&A later, but we don't do any type of industry type. We don't do the LSCMIs or any type of mental health assessments or anything like that. It's pretty much self-attestation when they come to us. And so if they need a high school diploma, we help them get that now, and things of that nature. We really support them in that trajectory. So that's pretty much where we at. We start the program, and it's a tiered program in a sense that each workshop over the 8 to 10 weeks is built on the previous workshop. So, you know, we do our meet and greet, going over the syllabus, getting them familiar with the coursework, how to navigate the learning platform, which we use Google Classroom and so forth. For our Inside Scholars, we are currently running a program on Tuesday and Thursday at Maryland Correctional Institute for Women, which is the only correctional institute for women inside the state of Maryland, which makes it very difficult for women here to program. They still are under some of the most draconian laws that you can imagine when it comes to programming. I mean, they still see that it's acceptable to discipline these women by for an infraction by taking away their visits with their children. I mean, it can't get any more abhorrent than that to me. You know, the purpose of punishment is to prevent maladaptive behavior in the future. You cannot erase the past. You can't unring a bell. It's to prevent future behaviors of that kind. You can't, you know, you can't punish the past, and trying to get corrections to see that. But they have made some strides in that area. We P2P, when I say we, I'm talking from P2P, we sat on the Maryland Lived Experience Committee, where we speak with monthly with the Secretary of Public Safety. It's the Department of Public Safety here in the state of Maryland, as well as the Secretary of Education for the Department of Corrections and Public Safety. And so we have this Lived Experience Committee made up of community-based partners that inform decisions and outcomes. And we are slowly getting this off the ground. And they're also looking to replicate that at the city level. So we'll see how that goes. But back to the program, our program is run inside right now at Maryland Correctional Institute of Women between 6 and 8 p.m. And that's pretty much the only real program. They have Goucher or GPEP there, Goucher Prison Education Program, which is a college program that they offer there and everything. But once again, we are trying to get it so that the women that complete the program can go on to that particular college outside of the prison. A lot of times these institutions, Rutgers, I can name a few, LaGuardia College over there where you are, Rhonda, they can get the funding, they provide the services, but have no intentions of letting our scholars step onto their campus post-release. And that's something we need to fundamentally change and effectively speak to. So one of the things we do here at P2P, we have a speakers bureau, and we encourage our scholars to engage in that and advocate for themselves. We don't speak for them. We hold space so that we can hopefully educate them in ways that they can safely advocate for themselves and their family. We don't believe in training people. You train dogs, you educate people. And that's where we are in this space. So our 8 to 10 week program starts with engagement, career readiness, leadership, and then we go on to SAT, GRE prep, and things of that nature, financial aid, mental health, and a host of other workshops in between, answering the criminal conviction question. How do you, some of you may know it as Dress for Success. How do you, show up to an employer? How do you explain your criminal history? How do you talk about this in a manner that you don't seem to over sensationalize your behavior, but you take ownership of what you did and everything? And so that's pretty much the bulk of what we do here at P2P. And then we stay with them hopefully for a minimum of about 2 years, because the data says that it takes about 2 years for our scholars, or any scholar coming out, depending on the length of incarceration and any other barriers that they identify and share with us, that they may have after release. It takes about 2 years to get to a stable place where they're really able to successfully navigate pretty much on their own after that. So, that means housing, transportation, so forth and so on. So we have one transitional house in Baltimore where they're not required to pay anything. We do have a T34 grant that we received from the National Institute of Health, where we are able to send scholars that are accepted into the program to 2 years at community college, and we give them a stipend monthly, and then we send them to 4 years at Howard University Medical School once their GPA is at a stable level where they can be accepted. And we have an articulation agreement between Baltimore City Community College and Howard University. And we're also in the negotiation stages with several other colleges and universities across the US to replicate that program with their prison population. So any questions so far? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Beth. Good seeing you again, Beth. How you doing?
Mancy. Hey, I had a quick question. What cohort number are we on? And how many cohorts are there a year? I'm just kind of thinking about sending some folks that way, and I don't recall what number we're on.
We're currently on 40. Great question. We're currently on 40. And generally it's about 10 cohorts per year.
Okay.
As you know, as we incorporated DPS and Department of Public Safety, however they identify themselves, basically all of it is under the Department of Corrections in some shape, form, or fashion. As we identify with them, they pretty much sometimes based on their schedule will sometimes upset our scheduling. So for instance, some of our internal meetings had to be readjusted because we could only program at this particular institution on Tuesday and Thursday. This is the only institution currently that we are at inside of Maryland that allows virtual programming. We also are at Maryland Correctional Institute, or MTC, Maryland Metropolitan Transition Center, all these acronyms. But Maryland Transition Center is a pre-trial detainee unit for men.
Okay. With
that being said, we know that we'll lose a certain point of the population, approximately 1/3 to in-house incarceration. A third may go home and the cases drop, and 1/3 to long-term or whatever upstate. So with that being the case, they were only giving us a certain amount of days, and that time varied, but they had no capabilities to do virtual programming. So all of that plays a factor. Depending on my commitment offenses, I'll use myself as an example. Having 4 homicides, we have a facility here, YDC, Youth Detention Facility, and even as a clinical case manager, certified to do HIV, Hep C, and infectious disease screening through the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland, Maryland Board of Nursing, licensed through them. I am not able to go into that facility. However, they have a huge HIV, Hep C population, right? TB population, all reportable diseases according to the National Institute of Health and so forth. So can't go in and test. However, my colleagues could, but because I oversee the program, we have to renegotiate our MOU and MOA, Memorandum of Understanding and Memorandum of Agreement, because my name is listed as the point of contact, and therefore they have a problem with my commitment offenses. Now, right next door, I get to go in. Same people, same warden and everything, but for that facility, and it's 1 or 2 others that adults facilities for men, they will not allow me to go in. So it's anybody's guess. So we on 40, and like I say, it's this cohort, we've closed enrollment. We will hopefully start the next one probably in December. So we'll, as you know, close for the holidays, but just because it's the end of the year won't mean we won't start a new cohort.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, we were a little iffy about that, but we're going to start the cohort more than likely and go. So just reach out and have the individuals that are interested, please reach out, look online, fill out the form, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you. That's great. I had one other question, but I will wait so that in case anybody else has questions.
Well, go ahead, shoot it.
Okay, so one of the questions I have is because, again, PTP does such great work, and I love what's happening, especially inside women's facilities. Any thought about expanding westward?
Yes, so as we were actually in communication with CDCR, California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, hence my background there. We are now trying to revisit that relationship, but they had some very, very strong concerns with, once again, my background and my involvement with during my custody time. Okay. You know, I wasn't the most pleasant person, but in my defense, they wasn't all that friendly to me either. You know, it wasn't like they was bringing me cakes and cookies and stuff. So
I should have clarified. I actually thinking Midwest. So
okay,
West, but not quite California.
Well, we are in, I'm not sure what your demarcation line for Midwest is. I know we're in Missouri right now.
Yeah, okay.
Dr. Andres is currently in North Carolina or South Carolina, and we do work, I know that's southern east, but we are working with North Carolina and South Carolina as well. And
let's connect. I'll connect with you offline because I don't want to take other time for other people's questions. But yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Thanks, Mancy.
Mancy, this is Meg. Hi, how are you?
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Good. So where are you at in Missouri? I'm just curious.
We're at TCSTL, and we are looking for some, I guess you would say, troops on the ground, so to speak, because, you know, Basha is out there and we have Eric out there. And so TCSTL, we're currently not in a facility right now. We had our contract with them expired. And so we're redoing that. But we're also talking to SLU, WashU, and I want to say one other university to bring programming inside the facilities there.
That's great. Thank you.
Mancy, I have a question. You mentioned that you guys have a 2-year program for individuals.
Well, it's the 2 years. I'm sorry. Thank you, Judith, for getting me to clarify. The 2 years is what we call placement and follow-up, basically. So the 8 to 10 weeks, they're completed. The 2 years is the placement and follow-up that we actively support. They'll be working with us through their mentors and scholars. I mean, their mentors and tutors and their accountability partners. You know, if they're still in custody, they may stick with us through a pen pal program that we also support.
And that 2-year program is stipend based, correct?
No, it isn't. Actually,
which is the one you mentioned that one was stipend based, and then you go on to the 4-year.
That 2-year program. So the 2-year program that's stipend based, that is the Bridges to Baccalaureate program, the B2B. B is in boy, B2B. So we are P2P, that is B2B. And that is under more workforce development with Basha.
So once they complete the B2B program, they go on to a 4-year degree.
Yes, if they decide to.
If they decide to.
And their grades.
Right. Okay, so that was my next guess. Like, what is the rate? You know, how successful is that program so that they can go on to that 4-year degree or medical school? And is there like I guess scholarships, or how is that feasible financially for individuals to go on to that 4-year degree?
So the way it works is once they are selected and in the program, that is their scholarship. That is their funding. They can seek other funding, but they are supported through that grant. So they don't have to, really seek any other funding. There are some limitations around their schooling, such as they cannot have full-time employment. They can have part-time employment. They can work at the school like any other, individual in college. But the federal government actually requires them to work. And I believe they can also apply for Pell and any other grant that's out there. That's not prohibited. It's just that as far as where they will get that portion from, it will come directly from the school and through us and NIH, through National Institute of Health, through the school. So that is already covered. That once they're in that program, that portion is covered.
Great. I'm sorry, I'm taking so
No,
much.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Really exciting about this program. And so are individuals outside of the state supported, and is housing supported as well? Or is that where, the part-time comes in? I just want to see how.
So right now, because we're only doing it through Baltimore, we're working with other states. So it would be germane to that state simply because what we discovered, we are only on cohort, I think 3 or 4 right now in that program. What we discovered was, because there's a summer lab requirement embedded in their contract. So even if we were to do it, say in Florida, they would be required at some point to go on campus and do a summer internship with the professors there. And they would work that out, but it would be very difficult for them to, drop everything they're doing, relocate there just for the summer and all of that. So what we are advocating for is that those in that particular region would be the best candidates for that particular project in that area. So Baltimore scholars, Missouri scholars, and wherever else the program is replicated.
I think that program should be replicated in every state, in my opinion.
Well, actually,
Great
we are definitely trying it. It was signaled to us that it is a multi-year grant. We are the only justice impacted nonprofit organization they have other B2B, Bridges to Baccalaureate programs, but our program is the only justice impacted program that they've ever awarded this grant to. We are the first and hopefully will not be the last.
That's all great to hear. I had a question kind of related to that, as you're talking about rolling these programs out in different states. And you were also talking about, some of the arbitrary rules related to higher education or even just in the prisons in general. And those are the things kind of thinking through what sort of policy priorities would we want? I'm always trying to look for that, the inconsistencies, are there things that stand out to you in a certain state or just in general that, facility to facility, warden to warden, you're seeing there's barriers here, but not here. Those are the kinds of, maybe there could be some policy around so that you get what you need consistently and everyone in prison has equal, rights and access.
Yes, great question, Noah. And it's actually very insightful. And the reason I say that is because Jeff and I, your executive director and founder, we were in Pittsburgh at a conference, and that very topic came up. And so when you ask about areas, I live in Pennsylvania. I live in Greencastle. And so the PD Green organization is very strategic, and I'm preaching to the choir, but they're very strategic in targeting that kind of process and problem or issue. So we were up there dealing with just that. And here in Pennsylvania, that is one of the issues, is that individuals, to give you an example, if I can use my state as an example, individuals that are in custody cannot use Pell or anything else to go to school. And these are the men and women that desperately need it. We haven't even gotten to the other issues like health and some of the other barriers that, for instance, to get certain types of screening, something as far as a dental exam, while it's provided, you have to have make a co-payment for it. You have to, pay a co-pay for it. While they give you a toothbrush and toothpaste and stuff like that, but dental is one of the processes that you have to pay a co-pay for. So I just using that as an example, Pennsylvania, Maryland, these women are finding it difficult to get basic sanitary issues that are germane to their health, right? These things taken care of. And this is I'll be honest with you, it's a woman's facility run by women. And I mean, how do you not know what these women need, right? And so we need all of these things, and we need a forum. I shouldn't be speaking, and to be honest with you, I'm gonna say it like it is. No man should be speaking on these issues. We should be stepping aside and turning the mic over saying, let me introduce you to my colleague. She has something to say, right? And then I step back and say, there you go. Here's the microphone. That's my role in it. I don't know, that's how I feel, and so I don't know if your state voted or not, but please get out there and vote, Unless you got one, you shouldn't be telling people what to do with theirs. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, that's where I am, and that's what we're dealing with in so many levels. We can do this safely and better. We talk about safety. Well, let's do it safely and better.
Perfect.
That's all I'm saying, Noah. And so I know we had it was ACAR, and I forget what the acronym stands for, but then it was something, like I said, if you talk to Jeff, he'll know, because there was a lot of prison officials up here and everything, and we had a big conference in Pittsburgh at the university.
And Noah, Jeff is also part of our steering committee. So if you want me to make an introduction, if you guys haven't met, I'm sure maybe you have, but if you haven't, I can certainly arrange for that as well. I'll pass it on to Cece so that she can bring in not only her questions, but also give us a little bit of an update on our state and federal subcommittees. Because of the sake of time, we're going to move on. And I appreciate you guys staying on for this information as well.
Thank you, Judith. And actually, thank you so much, Mancy. You were a perfect lead into our states committee and federal committee, which we've had a merge meeting since last year, because both committees were focused on all the policy initiatives that we wanted to discuss at Hill Day and continue to be an advocate for. As we look at 2025, we're heading that in there very quickly. I think it's really important, Mancy, to consider one thing that I hadn't thought much about before, but has always been in the background of my mind, is how many organizations I work with that formerly incarcerated individuals are leading those organizations, or they're a lead person in that organization, and they can't get into the places or have their voices heard where it's most needed and they have the most impact, because they can really help inform and give us that experience. Maybe that's something we have to think about. I know there's so many discrepancies by state and even by, each prison system, but that could be a good topic to consider for next year's policy initiatives. Obviously, we will review the policies that we were advocating for last year, create a status of where they're at, and is that the most important thing to move forward based on the current state of where we're at, or do we need to make some adjustments to that? And for those of you who are new or haven't seen that list, we can definitely get that sent out. It is in our shared drive, right, Mickey?
Yeah, and we can get that shared out.
Yeah, maybe if you put that in the notes, I think it'd be great for the new people to see. This is what, were our main discussion points last year when we had Hill Day. So with that said, leading into what the state's committee will be doing this next year, we will be separating out the meetings again because we want to make sure that the state advocacy level and the voice is heard. There's a best practice, and some initiatives specific towards that, because we do have an events committee that will be the lead of the Hill Day that we will again have next year. Maybe we'll get 2 in next year. We wanted to do 2 this year. But as you know, a lot has happened and changed. So we'll see how that goes. But really what we learned last year is we had great impact. The Hill Day was phenomenal. We met with some amazing people. There was some great follow-up from that, but not necessarily enough, or maybe what we could have done with the strength of this organization and the amazing team we have, even just this group sitting right here. If you could see all the faces of all the people that have attended these meetings over the last 2 years that are part of this organization, we really have a strong collective voice. And we want to take that on and say, how can we best use that? And what can we do to make sure that gets followed through on a state level? And then, of course, at the federal level, focusing on what's necessary for that position. As you may or may not know, Sheila, our amazing lady, has stepped down from the federal committee this year. We will be opening up opportunities to lead those committees. Be on a committee, any of the committees that speak to your heart, because your voice is really needed. And then really the more input we can have from multiple states, multiple backgrounds, the better we're going to be able to set our initiatives up for 2025. I'm open to leading either committee. So if you have an interest in either, let Judith know about that. I am happy to work in any capacity for this group. It's been an amazing experience. Lot to talk about on Pell. Mancy, you mentioned Pell opportunities and PEP programs. We're going to really talk heavy next year about what does this look like? How much time and effort can we spend on implementing the PEP program that Pell has been available since July 1st of a year and a half ago now? But what other education initiatives are important when we talk about higher education in prison? What's the outcome? What are we really looking to get? And what's needed. And so we want to make sure that we have really a collective process of addressing those, so that no matter what organization you're from, you can find some assistance and partnership in that. Any questions?
All right, we'll pass it on to Beth.
And I know that we're at time, so I'll keep it really brief, but to piggyback on what Cece was saying, and then also what Noah brought up, and in terms of what Mancy has been presenting, so this actually does have a thread here. The fact of the matter is that as Unlock Higher Education grows, and we are a coalition that brings people together to really address higher education in the carceral space, we can't really do that when there are obstacles in the way. And so one of the things to actually think about is maybe how we expand thinking about how we promote access to education. And so that might be to go back to all of what Mancy was presenting. There are obstacles at every single level. And of course, having lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania as a whole has serious challenges throughout the whole educational cycle, regardless of whether or not it's part of a carceral setting. So it's really, we really have to kind of challenge some of the existing policies and procedures that exist. And I think without us being able to do that, we're never going to be able to get to the pieces that we really want to be able to see as having, complete access, especially in the carceral space for education, regardless of what the level is for education.
Great, thank you for that. I think we have a really good, closeout here as far as understanding what we're here for, what we're trying to promote, and it's really access to higher education, whether it comes in the sense of education inside incarceration, currently incarcerated students, or education when the process of coming home in the reentry, which is something that is long-term, something that takes a long time, and something that we definitely need the support of everybody in the work that they're doing, because there's strength in numbers. Voices need to be heard, and you guys come from different spaces and different places, and definitely can bring different perspectives to that form of knowledge and education bring forward. I will quickly just give an update. Trip, our subcommittee chair, and for Mickey, also our social media chair. We're always looking for support. We're always looking for individuals that can join our perspective. Again, we're looking to do an event next year. So that will definitely be involving the event subcommittees and of course the media and the social media. So please look into joining one of our subcommittees. I can't stress enough, you guys know the work. You guys are doing the work. And we have to stop working in silos, because we're doing so much parallel great work that we just hope, and we want to bring this place and this space for a joint collaboration. I feel that leaders are, collaborators, and those who are not are actually those who are working in competition. So I'm hoping that you look at us as a way to bring on the best practices forth and ways of implementing that in your space, in your place, in your community, because overall our goal is the same, is to bring access to individuals who have been impacted by the justice system or in underserved communities. And then I'll just quickly say, we have the PBC reentry summit has been postponed. That will be next year in Palm Beach. The NCHEP conference, if you have not joined or looked into that, please, I urge you to do so. That will be next year in New Orleans. The JFF Horizon Conference is also going to be next year in New Orleans. So I guess New Orleans is going to be the place, right? So look into that and look into how you can bring your expertise and your voice into those opportunities. I also post on the chat a link for the Ladies of Hope Ministries is offering Coursera certificates for individuals who have been impacted or are doing the work in the reentry space. A lot of certificates for free. They're worth like about $500 a piece. Please take a look at it and enroll if you're interested in getting these certifications through Google and Coursera. And with that, we're always looking for great speakers to inform us and educate us on the great work that you're doing in your community. So if you're interested about that, Mickey can put also a link on the social media so that you can reach out to him. Any questions? I appreciate you guys staying 6 minutes over. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you guys next month. Mancy, thank you for all the work that you're doing, even though I miss you in my area.
Yeah, soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mancy.